Thank you for joining us for Engaging Product Marketing to Drive Business Agility. We're looking forward to talking to you today about business agility and what that means, as well as giving you an overview of a safe implementation that was really driven by product marketing in order to achieve business agility. So when we talk about business agility, what we're talking about is the goal that organizations to have of being able to quickly adapt to the changing environment that we live in, right? The changing world, the changing market, and internal changes to priority and unexpected events. Business agility is really not about the mechanics of how we do Agile or how we implement SAFe. It's really about driving better business outcomes, being able to respond and innovate and bring new products to the market at the right time to satisfy our customers' needs. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before we go down into the details, some introductions. My name's Chris Ruch. I'm a SAFe SPCT, and I'm an Agile transformation consultant with Agile Rising. And I'm presenting today with Kenny.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for your time today. I look forward to chatting about our transformation here at Emerson. My name's Kenny Marks. I'm a product marketing manager with Emerson.
Kenny's going to be giving you the deep dive into the transformation at Emerson. But first, I'm going to set the stage a little bit more about business agility and building on this idea that the goal is not to implement Agile methods or implement SAFe, but the goal is to, as an enterprise, as an organization, to be more agile. Well, what's that really require and what's it mean? So if we want to drive better outcomes, we can't just improve parts of the process. We can't just improve the technical parts of the process. We really need to involve the entire organization in delivering what we need to deliver to the market. And that starts with customer centricity. It starts with understanding who our customer is, and it starts with understanding what they want and when they want it. Going further, it's well beyond technology. We really need everybody across the organization, the full value stream, technology, product marketing, the business, finance, really everybody that's involved in not just developing the product, but also getting into the hands of the customer and supporting the customer need to be aligned. And what we're really going to talk about here is driving those business outcomes and starting with understanding what those business outcomes are from the beginning, and starting with a strategic Agile focus, not just the mechanics of the SAFe process, but how those mechanics really can help us drive our strategy and be more successful. So those are our key takeaways, and those are the things that we're trying to drive. But let's talk about it within the context of Emerson.
All right, thank you, Chris. So before we dive in, I'd just like to give some quick background on who Emerson is and what we do. Emerson is a 130-year-old Fortune 500 company. We have over 80,000 employees worldwide. And as you can imagine, for a company to be successful over that long of a period, we've evolved quite a bit over those 130 years. And today we focus on two key business platforms, our commercial and residential solutions and automation solutions, which will be what we focus on today. So our automation solutions platform provides industrial automation products, software, and services to a wide range of industries, including oil and gas, chemical, and life sciences or pharmaceutical. And all of these industries have very different use cases and requirements. Now, our Agile transformation took place in the development of Delta V. Delta V is our distributed control system, and we were the first group to transition from a traditional waterfall process to Agile using the Scaled Agile framework. Now, as you can see on the slide, Delta V includes hardware and software for, as I mentioned, applications across multiple different industries that all have very different needs, different problems they're trying to solve in very dynamic environments. So business agility is really a must for us to be successful. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, I work in the product marketing group in Delta V. I know product marketing and marketing can mean different things in different organizations, but in Delta V, our product marketing group is really focused on understanding our markets and our customer needs. And this is what ultimately drives us when we're setting strategic themes, working with the organization on release timings, and just an overall product lifecycle management for all the different applications and solutions we provide within Delta V. So jumping now into the transformation itself. Even though the Agile transformation was driven largely by our technology group, product marketing was involved really from the beginning of the implementation. So we were involved in the leading safe trainings. We were involved in value stream mapping, the art identification workshops. And even when we started up our Lean Agile Center of Excellence, product marketing had some participation there as well. So we were very involved from the very beginning. But even with all of this engagement, it was not really until the first dart left the station that we truly appreciated kind of the scope of the changes and what we needed to do in marketing to enable a successful transformation. So some of the areas that we struggled and kind of highlighted our need to have a bigger change in product marketing as well. First was, how do we define features that deliver truly incremental value? Now, traditionally, we would create large specification documents that I'm sure anyone who's done waterfall development is familiar with. And our initial approach was really to just take what we've typically done with the large requirement specification and take out our patented feature scissors and just start breaking that requirements document into chunks of requirements that we were going to use as features. Now, that did fill our backlog, but once we started to talk about prioritization with these features, it became obvious that this was not the way to go. When we're trying to quantify the cost of delay for prioritization, having discussions at PI planning, assigning business value, this method really highlighted a need to change the way that we were working. Another area was with the development of roadmaps. So roadmaps is something that we have used throughout even waterfall development, but how do we create roadmaps in this new paradigm that not only allows our technology organization to have a view into the future of where we're heading, but more importantly for us, how do we enable the rest of the organization to be successful? So I mentioned the industries that we serve. Many of them have very long lead times for implementing new functionality, and they do not align very well typically with a 10-week PI cadence. So how do we provide the specificity to our sales organization and the rest of the business to have conversations with customers, but still remain flexible and retain agility and not end up with a large roadmap that just becomes a queue of features for and functionality for technology to work through. So initially, we really ended up with Gantt charts that had the feature boxes at the top, which obviously was not the best way to go. And then lastly, and where we really kind of, it hammered home the need for us to have a little bit deeper of a change in product marketing, was with MVPs, or minimum viable products. So features and roadmaps, we at least had an idea of what the concepts were. MVPs were completely new to us. And we struggled really with all of the letters in the acronym. What does minimum really mean? Does it have to be, what is a viable product? Does it have to be something we can release to our customers? Can we do proof of concepts or prototypes as an MVP? All of these things were what we struggled with developing and trying to implement and see the value out of an MVP approach. And it was during this discussion that I think we all realized that we were taking a very mechanical approach with the transformation up to that point. And we really needed to take a step back and think about the mindset changes and the why of what we were doing. And then once we had established why we were doing the transformation, then focus in on how do we do the actual mechanical process changes to get there. So that was the focus of our improvement and where we wanted to improve. And the first area we did that was with increased marketing engagement. So as I mentioned, we were very involved from the beginning, but most of our involvement, as shown on the slide, was in areas that closely aligned with what we were doing in the past. So product management, solution management was obvious areas for us to engage. We were always involved with kind of the next big ideas or the next big thing for Delta V. So Epic owners made sense for us to participate. But we really, once we started into the PIs, identified that we were missing the engagement at the actual art level itself, where the work was being processed. And that's when we started engaging much more with the product owners. So making sure we had a very tight collaboration with them, a cadenced PO sync for that bi-directional information exchange, and really getting the product owners and the teams more involved with feature definition and refinement, which helped us create better features, which ultimately can help us have better roadmaps as well. The next area we increased our engagement was in the system demos. So it's pretty eye-opening when you're sitting in the system demo and the only functioning software that you see is PowerPoint. And that was eye-opening for me because it made me realize that if we're not able to show functioning software at our system demo, then our features are probably not delivering that incremental value that we're ultimately aiming for. So we try now to think about, think about the demo when we're creating the features. What's the value we're going to provide in this PI? What type of feedback would we want to get? And what type of learning do we want to have over the next 10 weeks to inform our decision-making PI after PI? And when you kind of have that mindset with feature development, it really changes the features that go into PI planning. And the final area was with community of practices. So the community of practices, we started a POPM COP, and we've also had marketing engage in other COPs across the organization as well.
Kenny, one of the areas that you didn't highlight there, but which was really important in the transformation here at Emerson was customer centricity and design thinking. And part of that is because we launched this transformation under version 4.6, which didn't include customer centricity, and it was one of the things that was added in version 5.0.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Chris. And as you mentioned, 5.0 came in about a year or so into our transformation. And we really started then in our next step, looking at ways to bring some of those concepts in. And we did that with what's arguably been one of our most successful changes. And that's with what we've called continuous exploration workshops. So we've developed these workshops and we've designed those into our Kanban process from epics all the way down to features. And there's really two key things that I believe has made these successful. And they're right there on the slide. If you take a look at the colored text that is above and below each of the workshops, that's the objective that we're trying to achieve when we hold one of those. And a couple key phrases or words that you don't see as an objective of the workshop is, what is the solution that we're going to provide? What is the scope that we need? We really wanted to change the conversation away from that type of thinking to what are the problems that we're trying to solve? What are the expected outcomes that the business should see from this? And what is the expected benefits that we're going to ultimately providing to our customers? And that shift of how we thought about talking about and framing an epic has led to really great improvements. And then carrying that through to the capability workshop and the feature identification workshop how do we now start breaking this down into incremental value so that we can start getting feedback and validating that this business outcome can be generated, that the hypotheses are right? That has been one of the big shifts that we've seen from having these workshops. And then the second piece would be the white text on the slide. And that's where, when Chris talks about customer centricity and design thinking, you can see the roles and the functions that we invite to these workshops. And we've been much more inclusive outside of marketing and bringing the rest of the business into this process. So when we're talking about epics and business outcomes, we bring in sales, we engage business development. When we start talking about capabilities and features, we're bringing lean UX in, and they're being involved from the beginning to start thinking about that customer centricity and design way of thinking. We're bringing in subject matter experts. So we're really opening up the process to the rest of the organization. And that has driven a lot of the success we've had with these workshops as well. So on the kind of same theme of bringing in the rest of the organization, I'll now let Chris talk some more about how we've engaged the rest of the broader Emerson organization.
And those workshops are an example of kind of taking a concept that's in SAFe, like backlog refinement, and really driving it into something that is much more detailed and provides more guidance. And similarly, we had needs for engaging other parts of the organization in this process in a variety of ways. One was more at the portfolio management level and engaging senior leadership in the strategic direction and introducing cadences of meetings that have now been reflected in what's in the current version of LPM and in SAFe version 5.0. Some other things that we had to take into consideration here with Delta V was really the complexity of the releases, right? That new versions of Delta V aren't just upgrades to software, and they're not things that we can just make available on the internet and users download and start using. A lot of times these are both new hardware components as well as software components, and often they're being installed as part of new plants being built, or their upgrades involve a significant investment of consulting and project implementation work, not within the technology organization, but out in the field working with the customer. And so what we found here was that the operational value streams inform what is being built by the development value streams and what's going into the technology. But those technology releases result in changes to the operational value stream. And in terms of actually releasing value, it involves not just those software and hardware releases. It doesn't involve just the marketing of those releases, but we really needed to involve significant other parts of the organization in terms of sales, education both for the sales organization as well as for the end user and the end customer, as well as for the implementation consultants and project groups, who are all significant stakeholders in the operational readiness components. So we created some new events and a new cadence of collaboration and coordination wrapped around the PI planning that we were doing with the Agile release trains and the pre and post PI planning with the solution train, to really engage these parts of the organization, not just for awareness and not just to keep them informed, but really so that they can coordinate all of the work and everything that they're creating, which is ultimately part of that overall business agility approach, right? If we weren't engaging them, if we continued to provide releases to that rest of the part of the organization without their active participation, all we would have done is shifted that bottleneck, shifted the inefficiencies to different parts of the organization. So this is an example of delivering value to the market really requires coordination across the entire value stream, both the development value stream and the operational value stream, in order to make these really go smoothly and allow them to really produce value for the customer. And it's ultimately about delivering value to the organization.
The final thing, and kind of the final point of where we've seen the most success throughout this transformation at Emerson, and what I would recommend to anybody kind of starting a transformation, is to focus first and foremost on the principles and the mindset. So there's a really great advanced article on Scaled Agile that reminds us that SAFE is a framework and not a prescription. And I believe that SAFE and Agile are really about the lean Agile mindset, the SAFE principles, the core value. That's what we're really trying to achieve with an Agile transformation. And once we are able to kind of step back and think about those key components, SAFE then gives us a framework and a set of tools and best practices that we can use to achieve that. But every organization is different. And as we've done with continuous exploration workshops, we've taken pieces of design thinking, customer centricity, various parts of the SAFE framework, and then brought in specific and unique parts of Emerson and our roles and organizational structure to really drive us towards achieving lean Agile mindset, the SAFE principles, and the core values. So this is what I really believe is most important and where we've seen the most success. And we have really begun to see the fruits of that kind of change of mindset. The collaboration between marketing and technology has continued to improve much more than what we saw when we were in our waterfall process. Again, we've started to adopt those agile and lean practices, not just in marketing and not just in technology, but as Chris mentioned, we're starting to bring other parts of the business in and talking about delivering on cadence and how we can, deliver value to our customers more frequently. And thinking about how can we experiment more within marketing? How can we use an MVP? We've had much more conversations about that. Emerson has always been a very customer-focused, customer-centric company. And SAFE has really given us a whole new set of tools that we can use to really validate that we're doing the right thing with our customers. And the MVP is one of those. And then ultimately, talking about business agility, one of the big measures of success will be transitioning to be able to do more frequent releases based on our market needs and rhythms and what our customers really want. So those are some of the results we've seen from being able to really achieve kind of a mindset and a focus on the core principles. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chris to wrap up.
Well, we've enjoyed talking today about both Emerson's journey as well as business agility. We hope that we've inspired some thoughts and questions from you. So we invite you to join us at the Meet the Speaker session, which will be happening at 3:30 Central Time. So please come with your questions and we'll be happy to engage with you live and in person there. Also, please remember to participate in the polling, post comments. Please rate this session. Right? The session will be recorded and other people will be able to access it. And we'd love to get your feedback on it and help them as they're looking for what sessions to review. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the SAFE Summit.
Thank you.